The morning hustle is all about, everybody has to get up and go. They're always on the job, always doing something.
Right.
And so I like to highlight people and that encourage other people. And so when I first saw your interview, I was like, man, he's got the right idea and he's out here working. And a big part of your interview that stood out that I'm sure a lot of people probably miss is the amount of hours and time and research that it takes to get to where you're at. So right now we've got a super entrepreneur in the world of real estate, Mr. Mark Whitten.
What's up?
Mark Whitten is here. How are you?
What's up, DMV? I'm good, Angie. How you?
I'm awesome. So look, Morning Hustle. Actually, we're expanding. So we're now in the DMV and Detroit.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
Detroit. What's up?
That's right. I'm sure that's a great location when it comes to flipping, wholesaling, or real estate in general, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity in Detroit. I actually went out there, I want to say maybe 4 years ago, because at the time, the real estate market was doing real bad, and I just wanted to go out there and help people. So what I did was I got like 6,000 flyers. I had them printed at like Kinko's, and I actually flew out there with all these flyers. So I was going to churches, barbershops, on the street corners. I was walking up to guys on the corner on the east side on Gratiot, walking up to them, giving them flyers for the seminar. I ended up not doing it. Things didn't work out the way I wanted them to. But, it's all about timing. It's all about God's timing. And, some people are out there who probably remember me or seen me or want me to come back out there. I'm actually planning to get back out there sometime within the next year. And hopefully I can tell you something today on the radio that will inspire you and help you to get out there and empower yourself, your family, and make some money.
Absolutely. Because, real estate, the first thing we think about when we hear real estate for a lot of people is it's the number one way to become a millionaire. Yeah. And first thing you think is real estate, millionaire, I want that, right? And it seems so easy, and everybody has programs now. Everyone's saying, hey, you can flip with no money and no credit, and, people have these big dreams, and then it doesn't always pan out the way it should or the way they thought it would. So, Mark, I want to talk to you as someone who actually did it, right?
Because
and does it currently, and you're coaching other people. Let's talk a little bit about your story. Let's take it back to Baltimore. I understand you used to work in a group home.
Yes.
So how do we go from group home to saying, hey, let me start flipping houses?
Oh, man. Well, I always knew, that real estate was something that, like you had mentioned earlier, made, the most millionaires, right? And I needed something, legal that I could really hustle and put all my energy into that could get me, pretty much to where I am today.
Right.
So I remember going to work, I would go to, Barnes & Nobles and get a bunch of books on real estate, no money down strategies, buy and hold strategies, flip strategies, all types of, because those are the three key strategies in residential real estate. So I educated myself as much as possible. And then when I felt like I was really ready to get out there, I found mentors, which most people do, which I think everybody should. And once I did that, I just hit the ground running. And from there, I was like, man, once I found out I was doing this deal, that deal, and I was making, more money doing deals than I was in a group home in 3 months, I was like, man, this is amazing, especially without having to use any of my cash or credit. So I just felt it was my obligation to teach the community, what I know, because it changed my life, and I just wanted to, that's just the type of person I am anyway, just wanted to give back all the time, want to help people. So I felt like if I could do this, everybody could do it, and I felt like I could put it to people in a simple way that would, that they could understand and actually take action on it and see results.
Yeah. How long did it take you from the time that you started getting the books and reading about it? How long did it take you to where you got a mentor and then you did your first flip? Because I understand your first flip was in 2009, which would have been around a time where there were a lot of distressed properties because the market had gone down significantly by then.
Like around 2008, we had a crash. I would say it took me about 7 months. About 7 months from the time I started educating myself to my first deal. I would say about 7 months.
Wow.
And let me say this too, because I tell people all the time, the real estate or any business for that matter, even for you, you're not sitting here for no reason. You know what I mean? You hustled to get here, or everybody would do it. There's a lot of people that want to do what you do, but you're special. You're here. You know why? Because of your mindset, right?
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, it's 95% mindset and it's 5% real estate, right? And that's so important because you have to have a burning desire to be successful, and I just want to put that out there for people. So it took me 6 months. It could take you 6 months. It could take somebody else 3 months. It just all depends on your desire to want to get out here and do it. So
absolutely. And I think that's the one thing people miss all the time with this type of thing is that you really do have to put in that 10,000 hours we've heard about, or you really have to put in the time to educate yourself. And,
absolutely.
And stay with it. And part of it, I believe, money money is a driver, but it doesn't keep you in the game, right? Because there's some deals you probably lost on.
Oh, yeah.
You got it. So what happens a lot of times is if you're in it for the money and you lose, then you're discouraged. You want out. Or if you don't see the money you thought you had, you put in all these hours and maybe, I know your first flip, it says you made $10K, but some people might put in all them hours and make nothing or break even or maybe $1,000.
Right.
And they start to kind of fall off, you know. So that passion is key.
The key is that's right. It's the mindset, the passion, and your why. Like, why are you doing this? You have to have a very strong why. You have to have a burning desire to be successful, because that's the secret. You know, it's all about mindset. You know, I was talking about this the other day on my Instagram. You know, it's like what the mind believes it can achieve, right? Because that's all we have is our thoughts. So if you put that in your mind and you repeat it over and over and over again, what happens is it gets embedded in your subconscious and it becomes natural, like breathing. You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I assume, I mean, 2009, again, I wanted to talk about the difference between 2009 and 2019. It's been 10 years, right? 2009, again, that was a tough time. Things were rock bottom. Great opportunity if you're an investor.
Yeah.
2019, prices have gone back up. Things have kind of stabilized sort of in the real estate market. What are your thoughts on how do you maneuver now? I mean, granted, you have a lot more experience, right? So you can probably maneuver, but it seems like prices are a lot higher as far as being able to get in versus 2009.
That's a really good question, and that's why I encourage people to learn about wholesaling, which is pretty much the beginner stage of learning real estate investing. That's how I got into the business. And pretty much what wholesaling is like finding property well below market value, getting that property under contract, and assigning that contract to another investor for a profit. These are no money down, no credit check strategies. And the reason why that's so important, why I bring it up with your question, is because when you acquire that skill and you're able to find people who are willing to sell their property well below market value, you can survive in any market, you know, because you have that specialized knowledge to get out here and put to use that knowledge to find people in these situations, whether it be a probate where, you know, somebody inherits a property, or if they're behind on their property taxes, you know, if they have, like, say, code violations, if they're absentee owners, you know, what else? Foreclosures, you know, people who are losing their properties, you know, and you can actually still get those types of deals as a wholesaler, right? And be able to work through the short sale process to create equity, to be able to still make money, you know, by assigning your contract. So that's very important. And like I said, I encourage everybody out there to learn that skill, because with that skill, you can make money in any market.
Now, again, it sounds really easy. It sounds really simple in theory. Now, what I've seen, because I bumped into an investor the other day who's got a team, right?
Okay. And
that team's job, aka his mentees and who he's mentoring, their job is to go find deals. Right. So one man can have 20 people looking for deals. Now, if I'm just one person, I'm like, I want to get into this. I'm one person going against multiple investors like him. He's not the only one like him. Speak to that one person trying to find that deal, because you have to actually find a good deal. Also, I know, especially like in places like Maryland, it's illegal to put those signs up that says, call me if you want to buy a house, or cash for houses. Some of those things are illegal, so you could get in trouble. Like, what would you suggest to that person that's just, it's like, I'm just one person trying to compete? Because it also seems like it's very competitive, especially now with finding a good deal.
I would say, first thing I would say to that is try not to have that type of mindset, because when you have that type of mindset, you're already like it's like you lost already. You know, me personally, I don't think about competition. I don't think about what anybody else is doing, because I'll tell you this. Next month, I'm going to do a deal, because I'm constantly doing deals. Do I know what that deal is? No, but I know I'm going to do it. That's how you got to think, because at the end of the day, people are going to be doing deals next month. They're going to be doing deals the following month, but are you going to be one of those people? And in this case, I'll give you one example of what I would do, or what I would recommend to someone. I would say start driving for dollars, right? Driving for dollars is pretty much when you get in your car and you ride around, I want to say, a low to medium income area, because in a low to medium income area, you're going to find more instability than you would in a higher income area. And where there's more instability, there's more opportunity for deals, right?
Okay.
So you find these, you identify these areas right in your city or state, okay, whether you're in the DMV, you're in Baltimore, Detroit, wherever you're at, right? You get in your car, you gas it up, and you ride around and you look for distressed properties, whether it be, no blinds in the windows or a mailbox full of mail.
Yeah.
The grass is high. It just, looks vacant to you, right? And then all you do is you want to take that address down. So you want to just write down addresses. And then you want to go to your your property assessor website, right? Or your real property tax assessment website. You can find that website online. There's a website called NetR Online. That's NETR Online, okay? And once you go there, a map of the country is going to come up, and then you just pick your state, right?
Okay.
Once you pick your state, then you pick the county in which you're in. So let's say you're driving for dollars in Prince George's County, right? Then you would select Prince George's County. Let's say you're in Baltimore. You would select Baltimore City, right? They also have a website for D.C. that you can use as well. You can just Google it. You can just put in Washington, D.C. real property a tax website or real property assessor. You know what I mean? And the website will come right up. So this is a website where you can pretty much find out who owns properties, right?
Yeah.
Then once you go on that website and you find out who owns the property, it'll give you the actual house address or the premises address, and it'll give you the mailing address. So now you know who the owner is and you know what their mailing address is, right? And then you just send them a postcard. You can handwrite a letter. You can say, hey, how you doing? My name is, Mark Whitten. I'm really interested in buying properties in this area, whatever area that is.
Yeah.
We pay the most for houses, any area, any condition, any situation. If it needs work, no problem. We have a team of contractors who can fix it up. Things like that, just to kind of give you an idea. And then you just go get a stamp, you send it on out, and you wait for them to call you back. And then you can start negotiating, on trying to go see the house first, because you have to go see the property, right? Because you have to know how much the property needs in repairs. You know what I mean? Before you can start breaking down the numbers to see how much an investor will pay for that property. Because if you're going to wholesale the property, you need to know how much the investor is going to pay so you can make a lower offer. I tend to try to make my offers at least $20,000 less than what an investor will pay to, for room for negotiations. I always try to make at least $10,000 on every deal. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Now, the reason why I'm saying to use this strategy is simply because most people aren't going to do it. Most people don't have a mindset to get in their car and gas it up and ride around all day looking for properties, right?
Facts,
so the opportunity is there. It's really there. I actually have a student in Prince George's County. He did a deal. This was probably about 2 years ago, though. He made $40,000 without using any of his cash or credit. His name's Adrian Wright. Shout out to Adrian. I know he probably out there listening. So
He's probably driving around right now, working on the next deal.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking to Mark Whitten. I will say this: when I first said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to interview Mark Whitten," he's able to, he's been able to generate more than $1 million through real estate without investing any of his own money or credit. Somebody said, "That's a scam." And I said, "Is that a scam?" I said, "Okay, well, can we speak to some of the naysayers or people who don't believe that you can buy a house?" Because there are a lot of people that believe that or have been taught that you can't buy a house without money down or using your credit. So can you speak to that?
Yeah.
And how did you, when you thought, like when in 2009 when you were first starting, like, and you saw that, did you kind of say,
no, I never did. I never did. My mindset was never set up to be a skeptic. You know what I mean? Of course, I'm going to do my research, but I'm not going to go into something and say, "Oh, you can't do that." I'm going to find out how.
Right.
One thing I think is important when we talk in mindset is never say you can't. Always say, "How can I?" You know what I mean? Or don't say it's not impossible. Say, "How can I make it possible?" You want to train your mind to think like that. So I've never been that type of person to look at something and say, "Oh, that's a scam." I'm going to do my research first, and then I'll decide. I'm going to thoroughly research it and see, does this work and is it for me?
Yeah.
But what I'll say to people is just educate yourself. You know what I mean? And really, if you want the short answer, call a title company. Call an attorney. Ask them. Say, "Hey, is it possible for me to wholesale a house? Can I get a property under contract and assign it to someone else? Can I do that and make a profit?" I mean, you could do that. But for people who want the longer version, pretty much what happens is when you enter into an agreement, right, with someone to buy their property, right, you then become well, I'm sorry, let me back up. When you enter into an agreement with somebody to buy their house, right, you do a contract with them, right? So for example, let's say you got a house, you want to sell it. I offer you $100,000 for this property.
Yeah.
And we sit down at the table right now. Say this is a contract, right? I get this right back to you. Say this is the contract right here, right? I sit down, we look at it. All right, Mark's going to buy this property for $100,000. Here's the date. He's going to close by then, whatever the case may be. All right, here, I'm going to sign it here. I sign right there. You sign right there. What happens is I get a copy, you get a copy.
Right.
What happens is I have now what's called an equitable interest in the property, meaning that I control your property for the duration of the contract period, right? And with that, I then have the right to assign that property to someone else. It's just a simple assignment of contract. It's been going on forever. People are doing it now. People are still doing it. So you just got to educate yourself on it. I mean, it's out there for you to do. People are doing it. I'm an example. My students are an example. You can go on my YouTube, on my website. It's I'm Mark Buys Houses on YouTube. You can go on there and check it out. I mean, but again, the simplest answer, just contact a title company in your area or contact a real estate attorney if you're in a if you're in an attorney state, because some states use attorneys and some states use title companies. I think in Michigan, I want to say they use title companies.
Okay.
But I know here in Maryland we use title companies as well. So
okay.
But that's my answer for that one.
Yeah, Mark, I'm so glad I got to sit and speak with you. And again, you're the ultimate hustler, because again, I think people needed to hear that it's a mindset. And just looking in your eyes when you talk about, I see the light, I see the fire, I see the passion. And for anybody listening, just let them know how important it is, again, to really want to do it, because again, you've given us a lot of steps, right? And there's probably some people listening that started checking out after like, okay,
yeah, it's real.
I got to drive around for hours, but again, there is something to be said. The most successful people, they're successful because of that, like just that they've got that something in them that says, I'm going to do this by any means. I love the fact that you're extremely optimistic, that you didn't look at all the things that won't happen or may not happen. You basically said, I'm going to get a deal.
I'm going to get it done. I've been like that. My mom in here, you can ask her. I've been like that my whole life. My whole life I've been like that. You know what I mean? I just always had the drive to go get it. You know what I mean? I think it had a lot to do with just, growing up not having the things that I've seen other people have, especially people on TV. When I saw that it was real and it could happen, it was like by any means necessary. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to make it happen. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but when I find my path, I'm going all the way hard with it. And that's how you got to think. Again, because it's all about your mindset. It's like I can sit here all day and talk about real estate, but the most important thing that I can give any of the listeners out there is my mindset. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's like I said to you earlier, like it's so many people out there that want to be Angie Ange. You know what I mean? But you Angie Ange because of what? Your mindset. Your mindset got you here. You know what I mean? And once people understand that, right? And you understand that when you want something, whatever your mind believes it truly can achieve. And you just repeat it to yourself over and over again. Thoughts. And again, it becomes embedded in your subconscious and it becomes natural, like breathing. It's just who you are now. And then now that's who you are. You're going to do it. Just like who we are as humans, we have to breathe. We have to blink our eyes. We do it without thinking. And that's how you have to be about being successful. So,
and then you go out there and hustle hard, man. You do what you got to do.
Exactly.
You get it done.
Right, exactly.
Can I ask you, I'm not sure how old you were in 2009 when you got a $10,000 check, but did you do any splurging by chance?
Oh, man, yes, I did. And let me tell you, and I'm glad you actually asked that question because I want people to learn from my mistakes. When I first started wholesaling, right, getting out there, assigning these contracts, I was making a whole lot of money. I didn't invest my money. I didn't invest my money into rental properties, which is what I've been doing now for the past few years, because that's the true way to building wealth in real estate. Okay, it's all about owning property, having that equity, and having that cash flow. So I give this example all the time. Like if you got, say, 10, 20 houses, you can be living in a mansion somewhere because your rental property cash flow is paying for all of your liabilities. Because even your house that you live in is actually a liability because you're not making no money off of it.
Absolutely.
So if you want the cars, if you want I know people probably look at me and my Instagram like, dang, Mark, how'd you get a Ferrari? Oh man, that's a nice truck. You got, look at that house you got with that. All these things I've acquired, I'm able to do that because of my assets. You understand? So it's like, that's just very, very important. To know and to do. So back to what you were saying, because I don't want to get lost in translation, but it's like basically, you want to make sure that you're investing your money. I spent a lot of money when I first started. I was going to trips. I was going on trips. I remember one time, I tell this story, it's funny, it's a true story. One time I went to this club one time, right?
Okay.
And I met this girl, this real pretty girl. She was real pretty, nice, and everything. So we was in the club, right? And I just met her, and I was like, "Yo, we talking." I was like, "You trying to go to Miami next week?" And she was like, "I don't know, like, of course, I just met you." Da 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 da.
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right, cool." So we talked for a week. We went to Miami like 2 weeks later. I'm just blowing money. I didn't even know it. We had fun, went down there, jet skied, had fun, like you know what I mean. I'm just doing crazy stuff, spending a bunch of money on clothes, like just nothing to show for it. You know what I mean? And that was the biggest mistake that I made. I would say just not reinvesting my money back into property ownership.
Yes.
So
yeah. So remember, when you start getting those big checks, reinvest it back into the business.
Don't be blowing your money and doing dumb stuff because, and let me just say this too because I think this is important. I think we as a people in our community, just by the simple fact that I think as a whole, we're not really, for the most part, I would say, because we have a lot of educated individuals, but a lot of people like myself who came into money and didn't really know about it. It's very important that we understand the importance of not just making money, but keeping your money. Paying taxes. Pay your taxes. Don't hustle backwards. Pay your taxes before it's due in April. Because they're going to get their money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like look into IRAs, look into stocks, look into real estate. Try to just educate yourself as much as possible on growing your wealth. And I think you'll be all right. Mindset and just being smart financially. It's important. So.
Yeah, I just talked to a good friend of mine, CJ Blair speaks. He speaks to young people and he calls it law. It's called learn another way. And the idea is that we have to start to learn another way to think, to process, to handle our emotions, and to build businesses, wealth, money, things like that. In order to do that, we have to learn another way. So I'm glad that you're able to not just show off your success, but also educate other people. That seems to be your top priority. So let everybody know how they can follow you, how they can join your team, because I saw you had some $19.99 a month sessions here.
Yeah. So
that sounds like a good deal.
Right. So pretty much I have a membership site where it's basically 7 lessons that you learn over 7 weeks, and I do these bi-weekly coaching calls.
Nice.
So you also had the opportunity to speak to me directly, get all your questions answered, and I have a networking area so all my students can network with each other in a forum. And it's $19.99 a month. You can sign up at realestatemoneyclub.com. Like, for example, I have about 160,000 followers on Instagram, something like that, right? And I know for a fact that there's a lot of people out there who may have saw me somewhere and hit the follow button, but they're not paying attention. And if I can get your attention to just bring you over here and give you this valuable information, I can change your life. Right. So I felt like, man, if I can do a $50,000 giveaway, it might catch somebody's attention who's not paying attention. Right. So even if they don't win the money, I still got to help you. Now I was really able to get your attention so you can learn something that could change your life.
Okay.
Really.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. I think, for me, when I look at especially the titles, right, you're taking over a title, you're now responsible for the title. So let's say I acquired the title, but I don't have the money to either maybe keep up on a payment or something like that, or I'm now responsible for the property. Maybe it doesn't move as fast as I thought it would, or maybe it has some sort of severe structural damage where an investor will say, nah, I'm not going to get that. Being stuck with houses. I think some people have those fears too of what happens if it doesn't work out? What happens if if I end up with a property that it made sense at the time and then we find out it wasn't what it should have been?
I think with real estate, you can really calculate your risk. I feel like when you're talking about wholesaling, there's virtually no risk. Because, this is finding property well below market value, doing a contract and assigning your contract to someone else. But you have what's called contingencies in your contract, right, that will allow you to get out of the deal if it doesn't work. Or
Gotcha.
say if you end up not buying it yourself, or you can't find another investor in the wholesaling case to take it from you. So you're kind of out of it. As far as, I'll use an example as far as say being a landlord, right? I want to say it just kind of comes along with the territory. You got to prepare for it, because things happen.
Tell me about it.
You know what I mean? Things just happen, and you have to be prepared for it. You know what I mean? But is it worth it? Absolutely.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah. I've got a house. It flooded. My tenant calls me. The person above, something happened, and their unit flooded my unit.
Whew.
She calls me. I'm actually leaving the Urban One Honors. I'm tired. It's 11 o'clock. She sends me video of like the water coming through the vents and everything. And I knew what it was, so I didn't panic. But like you said, it's like it's a part of it. You know, it's just a part of being a homeowner, being a landlord. And we worked it all out because that's why you have insurance. You got all this stuff. But I know after that, I said, you know what? I'm getting a property manager moving forward because you gotta learn the hard way doing some of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And but I appreciate you, Mark, for sharing your story and
Thank you.
You know, being that knowledge. And again, knowledge comes with time. It comes with research, and most importantly, mindset.
Mindset, absolutely. Don't you ever forget it.
That's right. Any last things you want to say to D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Baltimore, Detroit?
I just want to shout out to Baltimore, shout out to my city. You know, that's where I started, everything at. I went to school there. I grew up there. They show me love there. I love them. They love me back. Shout out to Baltimore. Shout out to D.C. Thank you for having me. Shout out to the whole DMV. Shout out to Detroit. I'm going to get back out there soon. I promise you that.
Yeah.
And,
Let me know when you go. I'll tag along. I'll go. Yeah. I'll watch. I'll be a cheerleader.
All right.
I can go support.
Yeah.
And did you go to Morgan State by chance?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yep.
You're a bear.
Yep.
I went to Howard University.
Okay.
Y'all all right.
We like Howard.
We cool.
Yeah,
but a lot of my friends went to Morgan, so I used to go down for homecoming.
Okay.
And hang out in the dorms.
Yeah. Shout out to Howard. Shout out to Morgan.